Hey guys, how's it going? This is the Bald Metal Nerd coming at you with another wonderful screen capture video. I actually found a much better screen capturing tool than the one I was using before. This one, and I found this just honestly by pure accident by actually watching a YouTube video about the best software to do this. I'm going to talk it's called Open Broadcast Studio. This is what it looks like. Whoa, it's like infinite inversion. It's real nice. It's definitely the best free one that I found. It's if you want to do any screen recording, I highly recommend this program. Now, enough about that. Let's get to the main subject of this video. After my last video about Linux, I kind of figured, you know what? I need to try a few more distros out just for fun, okay? To see what I can figure out and, just give them a shot, see what we get. So, I did some looking online. I just read a few articles about good Linux distros to try with laptops. It's basically what I was looking to put it on. So, as you can see here, I tried several, okay? And we're going to go through them a little bit, each one in no particular order, and we'll talk about the ones I liked, the ones I didn't like, and a little bit more just about Linux in general. It looks like the first one here that I randomly grabbed on this other screen when I drag over here is LXLE, which is an Ubuntu-based distro, I believe, and the interface on it's fairly decent. Let's see if this scales. No, oh well, that's okay. Yeah, I like this. What the hell am I trying to say? This interface well enough. It's okay. It's kind of a bit reminiscent of the GNOME 2 shell, but slightly nicer looking. I don't have a whole lot of complaints about it. Now, one thing that this doesn't do very easily, and this is going to be kind of a theme in the different distros I show off, is it doesn't hibernate very easily. And since I'm going to be using this, oh, that's the wrong button there. Sorry guys, I haven't used this a whole bunch, so let me figure out. There we go. So if we go down to the shutdown menu here, as you can see, hibernate's not an option. Now I did do some Googling around trying to figure out how to enable hibernate on this, and it's not a particularly simple task. On one of the distros that I tried out, it's utterly ridiculous. This one isn't that bad, but honestly, it should work out of the box. It shouldn't be you've got to search around on the internet to get basic functionality to work. Something as simple as hibernate. Now, if this were a desktop, I wouldn't care because I never ever... Well, I'm sorry, this obviously is a desktop. If this was intended for use on a desktop, I would not care because I never use hibernate on desktops. In fact, I turn that feature off so it doesn't even... Because in Windows, it creates a hibernation file that's basically the size of your RAM. And since I have 32 gigs of RAM in my desktop, that's a huge amount of disk space wasted. So I just shut that off on desktops because never use it. But laptop critical, does not work out of the box. So this LXLE is a non-starter. So we're going to go ahead and just shut that sucker down. Boom. And we will now bring over the next victim. Okay. This one here is Zorn. And let's see. Oh, silly me. I was putting in the password. Not the password I use for virtual machines. Haha. Well, anyway, yeah, so basically the issue with Zorn is kind of similar. We've got, you hit the power button here, and again, no hibernate. But as far as what I think of the interface, obviously they're trying to make this look kind of like Windows 7 with its own little bit of flair. It's pretty decent UI. I like the way it looks. It's a nice looking operating system. I like it better than LXLE. You know, and it's nice, snappy, good looking OS. Whatever. Doesn't hibernate out of the box. Don't feel like you know, jump through the hoops. So bye bye. And the way you can figure out if these things will actually hibernate or not is going through their power options. And yes, I did check the power options in all of these systems before I said, oh, they don't work. So moving on, the next one here is BuntoMate. So, what do I think of the UI of this? This is obviously just Ubuntu with a very GNOME 2 looking style UI on it. Again, no, there is no hibernate out of the box. So in this one, let's see how easy it is to get to the power. Power statistics, not exactly what we're looking for, right? Maybe it's under system. See, in the way they kind of break this up, it takes a bit of time to find exactly what you're looking for. Oh, there we go, power management. And yeah, I don't see anything about hibernate on this. I see suspend, but no hibernate. Suspend is just, you know, sleep, which still uses some battery. So again, doesn't work out of the box. Makes it a little bit of a non-starter. So let's shut that one down. And what's our next one? We're going to scoot over to that screen. Are we down to just our final couple? Oh, yep. Okay, it looks like we're down to our final 3. Okay. Oh, no, wait. There should be one more running. Oh, I'll have to launch that one, I guess, to show it off. Whatever. I will show off one, though, that I liked the interface on quite a bit. And I actually really like the interface on this one pretty well. I know it's just a standard GNOME 3 shell. And I was able to install software on a pretty easy Chrome, you know, which is a must-have for me. And let's see here. Now, here is how to enable the hibernation in Fedora, right? Okay, and look at how to do this. It's basically a whole bunch of blah, 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 right? And now it's telling me to add a swap partition to, first add the swap partition to extent/fstab. I have no idea how to do that. Okay, here's my fstab file. Okay, great. Right? I assume this is something you do in terminal here. I assume. Okay. Yeah. That is just, I guess they're assuming you know how to add a swap partition to the fstab, because they don't exactly tell you how to do that, right? So, yeah. Wow, right? Yeah, they assume too much sometimes, right? Because literally before I put it into this VM, I've never used Fedora before in my life. And I'm not going to, because no hibernate. So we don't care. So we will shut that off. Okay. Now, there were actually 3 of these distros. I'm just going to power this one up real quick. But that's not our main one we're worried about. That's actually one of my final 2. So I'm actually going to show you guys here. This is OpenSUSE, however the hell you pronounce it, right? This was one where it does work out of the box, hibernate. It's, you know, right? Oh, crap, I clicked the wrong button there. Yeah, hibernate, it's right there, right? Great. Now, I went to go install Google Chrome on this thing. Basically, I did some Googling on it, of course, and basically the instructions that I found, and now I've never used OpenSUSE before, was, added to the software repository and YAST. Okay, I did. Did not install. It's not installed on here. I do a search for Chrome, nothing. It adds, and I did some, and then basically I, Googled what if that doesn't work. What do you do then? Yada yada, and I found some terminal commands to try. Blah blah freaking blah. Needless to say, it didn't work. So, OpenSUSE. I'm sure there's a way to do it, guys, but if I'm not able to find this stuff with a cursory Google search, like the first 2 results, if they don't work, it's not worth it to me to keep digging. It shouldn't be this difficult to get something as simple as installing an application to work, right? So, moving on. There were actually 2 OSs here that that more or less worked for my needs, okay? And they're both Ubuntu-based distros, so let's go ahead and close this. One of them is Elementary OS, and I will get to that article here in a second, and you'll see why it's on my screen. Now, this one here is called Cub Linux, okay? And the aesthetic of it is they're basically wanting it to look and kind of function like Chrome OS. Okay, so I decided to try it out in this virtual machine, and I managed to get everything to work that I would, want to use it or use on it. So honestly, I think this is truthfully a better version of Chrome OS than the real thing, since you can install, Firefox, for example, an actual desktop application, TeamViewer, but, it still has that nice Chrome OS style of interface. I really dig this OS actually quite a bit. It's really nice. And it's actually not the one I chose, and really it was just by a fluke, because I'll admit, before I Googled desktop shortcuts, I could not figure out how to launch an application that's not there in the dock. It's not particularly obvious. So you click this, right? And all this does, oh, there we go. Come on, come back. There we go. All it does is bring up basically web apps. Whoop-de-doo. I had downloaded Firefox and stuff, and I'm like, why in that? And it showed it installed when I downloaded the package. I mean, because you can get to the files. The file's easy enough. The File Explorer, it's right there. And you can see everything I've downloaded. Obviously, I figured out how to get everything to work that, I like to use anyway in Linux. So, yeah, I got those working. I got the applications working, but I sure as hell couldn't figure out how to launch them. So I had to actually Google shortcuts, and it's just stupid me. It's just the Windows key, right? That it brings up like a mini start menu. Then you can just launch whatever, and then and this is the only one I haven't been able to pin to the dock, right? With this, I mean, for example, if I uncheck that box and then I launch it again, if I want to keep it in the dock, boom, easy enough. And I can run Chrome and Chromium next to each other in this OS. So I really don't have a whole lot bad to say about it. In fact, the nice thing about this machine is this supported Hibernate out of the box without any mussing whatsoever. But again, I figured that out before I figured out how the hell to launch applications, because it's not immediately obvious. I felt really stupid when I was just hit the Windows key to get it to work, but whatever. I obviously figured it out. So anyway, we'll go ahead and shut this one down. But yeah, I definitely like that OS. So there you go. And on, and I didn't have to do anything in the terminal whatsoever in that Cub OS, which I consider a little bit of a win. Now, elementary OS, here, let's go ahead and log into it. It looks a little bit more like the Mac desktop. Obviously, that's a little bit more Macintosh style. Let's see, now it doesn't work seamlessly. That's all right. Yeah, look, it's a little more Mac OS style. And it's easier to launch. You know, there's an application launcher right up there at the top. Hibernate does work out of the box. And the reason I figured that out, actually, was by going into here. I was like, Hibernate was an option in the power option. So I was like, okay, Hibernate should work. But when I clicked this up here, Hibernate was not an option. It just wasn't there. Okay? And again, now I can manage to get all my applications to run, obviously, that I care about, but I couldn't get the Hibernate to show up. So I did some Googling. Of course, right? What else am I going to do? So, in my little Googling, what I found was this lovely little article here. And I was able to skip this stuff. And basically, I opened up Terminal, and I did these commands, right? Now, easy peasy, right? Easy peasy. Okay, and it opened up this little Scratchpad. Now, and I only got this working completely by accident, okay? Because here, as you can see, this is rather small, right? Obviously, it's not a full-screened application. It's a small window. And to be honest, I was too lazy to install VMware tools to get it to scale correctly. That's just laziness on my part. But I think it made life slightly easier for me, right? So anyway, I copied and pasted what was here. And for some reason, I don't know why I did this, in the virtual machine, I made sure there was no gaps between these sections, because you see how they're squared off into different sections there? When you copy and paste that, there's going to be basically a blank line in between each one. And for some reason in the virtual machine, I guess because the screen was so damn small, I made sure there was no, but as you can see in the screenshot, there's gaps in between. I made sure there was no gaps, right? Don't know why, I just did. And I did it, and it worked. So I was like, great, I'm going to try to install this on a real computer, aka the laptop, right? So I did. Okay, and obviously once I installed it on the laptop, obviously it's a bigger screen. So I just went ahead and copy and pasted this into that Scratchpad, and with the spaces, right? So and it didn't work. The Hibernate did not show up. It was driving me nuts, and I was very close to just reverting back to Windows, and I was like, wait a minute. I remember that on that with the excuse me, the Scratchpad on the virtual machine, I made sure there were no gaps, and you know, it worked. So I did the same thing on the desktop. And lo and behold, it worked like a champion after that. So the fact that I only got it to work by chance is not a ringing endorsement of this operating system. Now, I've said many times that Linux could be fine for a lot of home computer users. And let me preface what I mean by that. This could be good for the type of home computer user that basically just does basic internet tasks. Okay, you know, and I'm more talking about general users. I'm not talking about nerds. I'm talking about general computer users, right? And most computer users only use their computer for internet-based activities. I think a nice, relatively polished version of Linux, better polished than Ubuntu, because for some reason in fucking Ubuntu, Hibernate's not on by default, which is stupid, but whatever. I'm not in charge of designing Ubuntu, but thankfully in some of the Ubuntu derivatives, Hibernate's still on, but whatever. I'm not even going to ask why that is. But, you know, a slightly polished version of Linux could satisfy probably maybe as much, you know, basic users. It could definitely satisfy them. I think it could satisfy a huge swath of the home computing market. Basically, folks that only get on the internet and do basic internet related things. Oh, I almost forgot to show you guys. Here, I'm going to take this off screen for a second. Just so, in case it shows my login info, I'm going to show you the reason why I require Chrome in Linux. Okay. So
I have nothing to offer this.
Okay. Playing Netflix movies. Okay. That is something, obviously, that, you know, most folks like to do, including myself. And Chrome and Linux. It used to be, I remember when Netflix first and I'll say quote unquote, started working in Linux, it was you had to do this really kludgy shit with some really bizarre open source version of the Silverlight plugin in Firefox. It was a fucking mess. And you were lucky if you could get it to work. And then I just remember at some point, it literally just started working in Chrome. Like, all you had to do was make sure Chrome was installed, and then it just worked. Huge improvement over the Firefox method. That's for goddamn sure. You know, so Linux is close, but it's still not polished enough, I think, for the average person to set up on their own. Now, I have a side computer business where I have installed Linux on people's machines for them, but I'm doing the work for them, okay? I don't think I would have an average person try to do these things on their own. So I guess really what I'm saying is I'm surprised there's not just a totally polished version of Linux out there that's super easy to use that could serve a wide swath of the computing market. It's amazing to me how many distros there are out there, and they all fail on one level or another. I've never seen a distro that I completely like. The two closest ones, at least for me, are Elementary and Cub the Cub Linux. They're the two. The rest of them, they just have problems that, quite frankly, in my opinion, aren't worth spending the time to fix. The only way it's really worth it is if Linux is your main hobby or just a huge passion of yours. And quite frankly, it's not. Computers and technology are a big passion of mine, or I wouldn't be in the IT field. But for dicking around, just, you know, do I want to spend hours and hours and hours and hours troubleshooting a desktop OS that I'm messing around with for fun? Hell no, I have better things to do. I'd rather browse the internet on it, watch Netflix, do whatever. I don't really want to spend 5 hours trying to get Hibernate to work. Stupid. Anyway, that's pretty much all I have to say on this subject. You know, like I said, I am running this on my laptop, and so far so good. The brightness control works, everything works. So, thumbs up to that. Anyway, I'd really like to hear your guys' thoughts on this. You know, maybe what distros you like, whatever. As always, if you did like this, please thumbs up, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Thanks a lot for watching, and I will catch you guys next time.